So our next presenter is an architect, designer, and principal at SMRT, Architects and Engineers in Portland. And that sounds an awful lot like Paul. He's an avid supporter of the power of storytelling and collaboration in executing successful design. He says, brilliance rarely comes from working in isolation, but often comes from the exchange of creativity. That culture of creativity should not resist the unexpected, but celebrate it. Sounds brilliant, huh? Someone else wrote it. His wife says, he can literally do anything. It makes me crazy. And his friend on the PK board said, he literally will do anything. Let's get him to MC the next event. Sucker. Please welcome Paul Lewandowski.
All right. I think I know the rules. So this is the story of a building and its story. It's a building to honor the people of Lewiston, Maine and their heritage, the textile industry. As an architect, I was born in Lewiston. I'm an architect. I was born in Lewiston, and I got to work on a new wing for St. Mary's Hospital to house a state-of-the-art operating suite, and it was something that I really enjoyed. St. Mary's Hospital is a Catholic hospital. I was raised Catholic, and I have a deep respect for the dogma, and I wanted to capture the energy and style of the sort of post-Vatican II 1960s Catholic architecture. A lot of turquoise, a lot of carper, and some really interesting iconography. So my inspirations for this project were the original domes of the hospital chapel, my grandmother, her couch, the mills of Lewiston, silk carpeting, and that copper Louis Paulson artichoke fixture that I think every architect wants to specify but never can because they're ridiculously expensive. So the addition houses a new entry lobby, 6 state-of-the-art operating rooms, mechanical space, lots of it, an entire floor of it, a connection to the hospital to an existing office building that's about 130 feet long. So Louis Kahn said that even a brick wants to be something. As an architect working in Maine, most of my clients seem to want brick. I'm an early adopter. I like phenolic resin panels. I like water jet cut panels and things like that, but my client wanted brick. So I gave them some options. 12 of them, in fact. Some really good ones. One was based on a digital blur of an image of the glass from the original chapel from the hospital that sort of had this gradient effect. Another had a large tile mosaic of Madonna and Child. Just seemed like we generated a number of options. As would have it, they didn't like those. So I remember the existing building as a child. It was dark and foreboding. I didn't want to repeat that, but gave them 4 more options, and we started to be able to settle on things like the entrance canopy, materials, some types of graphics, and brick. So eventually you end up with a building full of details. The concept is basically a brick box on top of a granite base with some art glass to match the chapel and some glass tile to give it pop. But that's a bit of a step forward in the process, and I wanted to talk about a few of the details. The first one here is that the client said to me that they wanted a dome. Well, Brunelleschi built domes in Florence, but in Lewiston in the 21st century, not so much. So the concept was to etch their dome into the glass of the entry tower, and it's become an icon for the town. The recipe for the facade was pick 3 colors of brick, 2 of them made in Auburn across the river, arrange them in stripes based on the barcode for Mary, slide the panels using the outline of Michelangelo's Pieta and Titian's Assumption in a method similar to Duchamp's golden meters, and you have a facade. So Mary, I like Mary. My wife is named Mary. Mary glows. She's radiant. She wears a crown. So the building does that as well. Buildings also have insides. And when I think of Lewiston and I think of my of interiors, I think of my grandmother's living room. My grandmother's living room was eclectic. It was cozy. It was warm. You felt safe there. And I thought That's the kind of space you want to create for a waiting room in a hospital, something that makes you feel comfortable. So we looked at a palette of materials that did that and an eclectic mix of furniture. My grandmother worked at Bates Mills as a doffer. Bates is a major part of history in Lewiston. So with the help of the Museum LA, I was able to go into the archives of the mill and pull one of their matelassé bedspread patterns out. And I thought, you know, this would make a great ceiling. So it is. The pattern was translated into a vector file and cut in phenolic resin panels with a wood veneer finish and hung below LED light box. The result is a warm and cozy light fixture that has that eclecticism I was looking for. If you want any negative space that the light shines through, I've got a box full of it. So the lobby is a mix of furniture. It's all healthcare grade. It's all performance fabrics. But I feel they don't scream healthcare. I wanted to add this great chair that was made out of macrame and dipped in resin, but apparently it was too low for some of the hospital patients, so we couldn't use it, but got to do that. The other piece that was exciting to me was the reception desk, which also glows, but behind it was this bas-relief carving that was given to the hospital in 1961 by a prominent local family. It was in a back corridor, and I remembered it as a kid, so we moved it to behind the reception desk where it gave it a real place of prominence, and it's of the hospital founder. That 130-foot connector corridor we thought would become a great place to tell the story, so we created a history wall. It's full of images. It chronicles from the founding of the hospital up to modern day, their nursing school, and I think every time I go back there, there's always people who are just reading these walls and sort of learning about the history. I'm also very proud of the fact that this is a hospital, but we were able to carry those same color palettes into the operating rooms and the nursing stations because color in the operating room helps the doctors with contrast so they can see things better. We also brought natural light into those rooms and that soft palette of colors. So we have a hospital, a brick one that's loaded with metaphor, but also a beacon in the town I grew up in. There's a little colored tile to give it some swagger, and I think it has a real harmony with the existing hospital and the windows that let that light into the operating rooms, just like the original dome had. So if you remember that a brick wants to be something, well, you can imagine the surprise of an architect who doesn't put brick at the top of his list when he found out that the project won a National Brick Award. It's a silver medal, and that's great because number 2 tries harder. Thank you.